Welcome to Good News You Can Use, featuring Raven, Blair, Glover. Raven, how are you today?
I am great. Oh, and I'm so excited about all the good news stories we have today. It just, brings a smile to your face when you can wake up and hear good news that we can all use, Jeff.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Especially in these interesting times. Let's jump right in. The first good news segment is an amazing story. I'm queuing that up right now.
Well, I hope everyone is having a fabulous day and the sun is shining wherever you are because that helps. I love
Isn't it always?
Yes. Love to wake up to a sunshiny day, get me a nice little walk, even if it's just around the pool, just a nice little stretch and breathe the fresh air.
Yeah.
That's how I start my good news every day. I got up this morning. Yes.
It's always a good start.
Yep.
It's always a good start. Hey, Raven, we were just talking about the first story today. Is just an incredible story of a gentleman who adopted a son and then they took in a foster kid. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh, yes. Peter is his name. And him and his son, Anthony, I think Anthony was 17, if I'm not mistaken, they took on a 16-year-old named Kai. Now, Peter, he started taking in foster kids because someone that he met years ago back at home took him off the street and they mentored him. And so he had a love for helping other people, kind of a pass it on, pay it forward type story. And, it's unusual that someone that's Black would take on someone of a different color. It's not as unusual today as it would have been years ago, obviously, Jeff. And he doesn't look at color. He says, he doesn't look at skin at all. And to top that, he took on teenagers. Isn't that something, right? Most people want to
That's a big task.
Yeah, most people, two teenage boys, because most people want to take on little babies, so they can feel like they can start from the beginning. Because let's face it, when you take on a teenager, you really don't know what they've been through, right? Or, are they dealing with health challenges, mental challenges, or just the plain growing up, as teenagers, boys or girls. So he loves to, look past all that. And so I think we have a tape on him, and I don't know if we can show the picture either, but they're two cute boys. They fell in, they connected, the whole family connected, and you can tell the bond that he has. But what's interesting about this story is how he was raised and what led him to become the person that he is. So if it's queued up, let's take a look at that. You're going to love this.
Yes, we've got that right here.
And I want to say this story, as most of my stories I love, this site is goodnewsnetwork.org. So you can follow this up in some of our other stories today by that.
And here they are.
I'm not hearing anything, just to let you know.
Okay, well, let me welcome to live broadcast. Hang on a second. Let me reshare that. I think I understand what happened.
Okay.
But, that's the first problem. I'm thinking early in the morning in Los Angeles. Not always a good thing.
Yeah, what Jeff is queuing up for you as part of our good news you can use is Peter sharing his story. And he is the man that adopted Anthony, and now him and Anthony have Kai. It's really, really, really.
Let's try that again.
Yeah.
No, I never played video games ever.
Got the sound
in a
now.
place where,
Yep, yep, that's him.
it
And
was survival. Like, it wasn't even something you could even
definitely,
dream to have.
yeah.
I grew up in Uganda from a very, very poor family. Life was really difficult in every shape, form. So at the age of 10, I ran away and became a street kid. From 10 to 15, I lived on the streets of Kampala. And finally, I got to meet a mentor. And this mentor took me in. He changed my life. He put me in school. He showed me where to belong. Not only did he pick me off the street and put me in school, but he saw me as a little boy who had a potential, and he said, I want to give him everything he deserves, everything he needs to excel in life. And so for me, once I became a foster parent, that's what I wanted, to provide for kids a forever home, because I knew what that means.
This is where we have our family dinners, where we eat. Our dog is laying down like a good boy. Over here is my wonderful bedroom.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No, it's my perfect bed.
This is my
bedroom.
I think most of my life, I had always been the focus. I've always been about me. But then I noticed that I had missed something in my life, even to think of my legacy. Like, okay, I have lived here, I have worked, I have a house. Is that all I can leave, behind? But I think for him, he began to give me a greater calling, that I could change a life for someone, that I could be there for someone who needed a home, that I can be just that one dad for him. I think truly changed the way I viewed myself. Because he chose me. He said, of all people, I have met you, and I want you to be in my life forever. I think sometimes you doubt yourself. You think, would I be a good dad? Would I be what I never had? And for him to see that in me, that I didn't see myself, was really a joy. That he saw a dad, and he affirmed to me that, Peter, you got it. You're a good dad. And that really grew for me to learn that I could be there for him.
Oh my goodness, I want to cry. What a beautiful, good news story. Isn't that an amazing story?
Yes, yes, it is.
It is just so super amazing. And, you could just feel the connection of him. That was, I believe that was Kai. But his other son, Anthony, when you go to goodnewsnetwork.org, you'll see the picture of the three of them. But they were sharing the story of him just adopting Kai. And what Peter said, hold on 1 second. Yeah, he was saying that when his son Anthony asked him to help a teen, Peter said he couldn't say no, Jeff, knowing how many youth are about to age out of foster care. Remember earlier we were talking about how a lot of kids are not adopted, and they were going to age out of foster care without a home. And he knew that would be opening up soon. So he said that, I know that teens have lower adoption rates than younger children, and they often wait longer to be adopted. He said, in fact, Jeff, that out of the over 400,000 kids in the U.S. foster care systems, over 120,000 are waiting for adoptive families, and only 5% of all kids adopted in 2018 were between the ages of 15 and 18 years old. So, you could see the joy of Kai just being so excited and how he loved his home. And I thought it was so cute in that video how he kind of was hugging on Peter, the dad. And he said that he knows the road ahead may not be easy, but we're excited and willing to do whatever it takes to let Kai, a 16-year-old, know that he is seen, heard, and known, and that we choose, him to be part of our family. I love the word "we choose." And if you guys want to see his Instagram post, it's at Foster Dad Flipper, on Instagram, and you can watch this video in its full. And again, we thank Good News network.org for this amazing story. And now I just want to cry. It's just so wonderful. Really, it brings warmth to your heart, doesn't it?
It does. And it is so important. I mean, for kids at any age to have family, to have parents, adult influence is
Mhm.
so important. From my experience, having been a teen boy, especially in those years, to
Mhm.
have a dad makes such a
Right.
huge difference. It is so important to be able
Yeah.
to. Somebody once told me, "Oh, to be a teenager again." It's like you couldn't pay me to be a teenager again. Those are tough years, right? You're going through growing up and puberty, and you're in school,
Yeah.
making sense of the world. You don't have a lot of control, and then to have someone like that that's so willing to open his home, open his heart, and bring him in, and to have and to have a brother to experience life with in the growing up process, that just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Happy story. And look at the boys. Look at that picture. Look at that
Yeah.
picture. Get just frame it and put it on the wall, and I don't even know them other than the story, but you can see the connection, right? You can
Hmm.
see the joy, and I really think it was really good because Anthony, if I'm not mistaken, is 17, so it was really good that he got one that they're close to age, that would really help in the bonding situation, I think, as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's my good news for the story. What you got? What you got, Jeff? What you got to top that? Huh? You're listening
Well, I
to
don't,
you.
for our next story.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Just say for our next story, wanted to talk about, I'm finding it right here. Speaking of teenagers,
Ah,
a high school freshman that started a worldwide tutoring process, for online, since during the great shutdown last year, was out of school. The school was closed. Schools were attempting to take classes online. There's a lot of struggle with that, particularly with the students. So this young gentleman and his, I'm pulling up a banner to share with that. And a buddy of his started an online tutoring for other students to help them get through, get through the shift and get additional support that they needed in order to keep their grades up, keep their studies up. And it ended up becoming a global phenomenon. So here's another example of using the technology that was available, especially in that age group. They're used to being online. They're used to being connected with through their smartphones. They leverage that as an opportunity to be able to help others that were struggling with keeping up on their school studies and being connected with each other.
wow. And that's important, especially during these times. Can't wait to hear it. Just want to
Well,
remind you, listening to Good News You Can Use. I'm Raven Blair Glover, Raven, a talk show maven, and with me is none other than Jeff Wolfe. Yes, and he's here bringing us good news you can use.
yes,
He's
indeed.
everything. He's shifting like what's those cars where you have to shift stuff in gear? I never was good at that. Stick shift. That's what we used to call it back in Ohio. Stick shifting things in the back. Go ahead, Jeff. Back to you.
Well, no, it's just here's a picture of the young gentleman. We don't have video on this particular case. This is courtesy of pointsoflight.org.
Mhm.
And his name is, I want to make sure I get this right, Charles Tang. And here's a picture of his desk, with he's got his big screen going so that he can broadcast and see what's going on and talk one-on-one. And it's just a great innovation from a teenager that was looking to help, in some way that he could while he was at home as well, because it's been a huge impact on kids not being able to go to school.
Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. Isn't it interesting how you can tap into your creativeness no matter what age and figure out a solution? I love stories like that, Jeff, because sometimes we all get bogged down on the issues, the challenges, the problems, right? But when we focus on the solution, that's going to make things better for us, it usually ends up making things better for everyone else and lots of people. So I
Yes.
love to hear when people tap into their creativeness and get past the problem, the oh dear me, what's going to happen? Because we're going to always have problems and issues and challenges, right, Jeff? So to be able
Yes.
to tap into the power of, okay, what's the solution? Because we can't control everything. You know, some
Hmm.
things are out of our control. But what we can control is our thought process, right? Our creativeness and how we're going to move forward despite. So that's
Yeah.
what I love about that. Really
There-
good.
there's there's always turbulence in life. Life throws us curveballs. It's how we respond to it that
Mhm.
makes the difference.
Yeah.
We can't make reality stop throwing us unexpected things and messing with our plans, but
Yeah.
we certainly can control how we respond to that.
Wouldn't it be nice if nothing stopped us in the middle of our plans?
Oh, wouldn't that be boring?
It would be pretty
That would
boring.
be nice, but it would be boring after a while.
It would be pretty boring. I like a little excitement. Sometimes it gets a little bit too exciting, but I like
This is
a
true.
little excitement. Yeah, yeah. But no, I don't need a boring life, right? I remember watching the Stepford Wives. You remember that years ago, and
Oh
how
yeah,
everybody
yeah.
did everything at the same time, drinking coffee, you know, doing the same thing in the morning. Oh my God, with nothing happening, you know, everything being perfect. Not
Somehow it always ends up not. It just always ends up going wrong.
yeah.
The
I'm
whole
curious. Explain your story, Jeff. How old he was? He looked like he was what, in his early teens.
Yes, freshman in high school.
Freshman. Oh wow. Okay. He's a freshman in high
So it'd
school.
be 13, 14.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really remarkable. You know, you're starting to hear more and more of these good news stories during the pandemic era where teenagers are really thinking out the box, right? You know, like I
Hmm.
think last week or the week before or last year, I should say, when we talked about a teenager and her mom making masks and stuff. So it's really good to
Yeah.
see them so involved in the solution and not the problem.
Hmm.
Another good news you can use story right here, and that was brought to you by who? If they want to go
By
check out
pointsoflight.org.
oncealife.org. Yeah. So you can check out the full story there. Oh my God. Okay.
What do we got next?
Imagine this, Jeff. You know, a whole community celebrating you by giving you not a gold watch after years of working and servicing them, but a car.
A
A car.
car.
Did I say car? A
You
car.
said you said a car. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Can you imagine getting a brand new car? And that's what happened in this place. It was Tipton, Indiana. And the entire community rallied together to give their favorite pizza delivery man an incredible
Wow.
gift in the form of a new car. His name is Robert Peters, and he's been delivering the goods for Pizza Hut for 31 years and counting.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he didn't get a gold watch. He didn't get a beautiful cake. He got a brand new car. And this happened on January 11th, and this is a couple years back in 2017. But when we look at good news, we look at everything, right, Jeff? We're just
That's
trying to
right.
you up. And this was a Chevy Malibu. And the reason I like this story, because it's not often that a whole community decides to reward someone that's working in the community. I don't hear that
Hmm.
often, right? So I really, really found this to be amazing. And the car, they gave him the new car registration, insurance, paid the taxes, all covered by Peters, who is the guy, I guess that uh, got the car and was given $500 gas card. So not just a
Wow.
car with a, you know, you got gas for the week, have fun.
Yeah.
$500 gas card plus a thank you tip from the neighborhood, you know. And Robert told GMA that it was heartwarming to know. Okay, so Peter Langley is the guy that and in the community that gave it. The one that got it, the car was named Robert, and he told GMA that it was heartwarming to know him and the community loved him. So it's a great story, and I think I may have got the names mixed up. Hold on, let me get my glasses on.
Well, and again, it's one of those things that here's somebody that is doing his job, doing his work, bringing a great attitude to it, which was what created such a strong relationship with the community, with the people that he served through his job, delivering pizzas.
Yeah.
Not some huge epic service, not some huge epic, charge the hill, we're changing the world. Just something that's helping people with their day-to-day lives. And they noticed. They noticed because he built a connection with them. They noticed because it is one of those things where you don't necessarily expect. It's become a joke. And you see some commercials, some comedians where they joke about, oh yeah, no, the pizza just kind of gets tossed up on the porch and it's stuck to the lid of the box.
Yeah.
You get attitude, or at least, not even eye contact from the person delivering. And not the case here, where he did it in excellence. And because people enjoyed it, because of that connection, they wanted to do something for him. People watch, they see what you're doing.
Yeah, the community loved him, and that was Robert Peters is the person that received the card. I just wanted to get those names right. And again, you guys can read the whole story. They even have a video on there where he's getting the car. And this was brought to you by goodnewsnetworking.org, which is one of my favorite places to get good news. Before we forget, we want to remind everyone, if you have a good news story, they should send it to us, huh?
They should.
Yeah. Just any good news story. And like I said, we're not really wrapped up into years right now because, we just want to bring laughter in your life, hope, inspiration, and good news that you can use, right, Jeff?
Absolutely. And hopefully in a way that is entertaining, informative, but also provides an example that may spark something that you can do, that some good news that you can create in your family, in your community.
Yeah, like in this case, for Langley to give this car, Tanner Langley is the person that got the car. I mean, that gave away the car. And here's the thing: we can all show appreciation, right, to those in the neighborhood.
Yes.
And what a better way? I mean, most people give away a watch or, whatever you give is nice. But I just thought giving him the car, making sure the taxes is taken care of, giving him $500 in gas. OMG. That is a gift. And when you go there and you see the smiling face and the video, you'll really appreciate this story and maybe give you an idea of someone that's been delivering mail or anything. And wow, everybody loves a gift, right?
Yes, indeed. Well, but it's a gift that's helping him, making his life easier.
Yeah.
Right. It's nice to acknowledge someone if it's a gift, if it's something that is, it's important to him, makes his life easier as opposed to just made the community feel good.
Yeah. And here's the thing, they call him Mr. Smiley because he always, it wasn't just that he delivered the pizza, he delivered it with a smile and, just uplifted everyone. And that's why, now remember, this wasn't just Langley that gave him the car because he said Robert had been, delivering pizza for a long time in the area, but it was just the whole community got together and do this. And that's the surprising thing to me about it and what brought it to my attention, that an entire community would feel the same way as Langley did, that this person just made them feel good. They called Mr. Smiley.
Well, and it's amazing what a community can do when people band together.
Absolutely.
We have an example of that in our next story.
Yeah.
As well.
One more? Yeah, okay, cool. Love this.
Where this comes to us from justserve.org.
Okay.
And it's a story of a community that on a very important national holiday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the community got together and said, look, what can we do to honor the spirit of service? The honor the spirit of coming together. And they cleaned up, they came together on what could have been a day that they kicked it with family or just did something recreational or watched movies. They banded together and cleaned a local park.
What?
And right, it's like, well, that's what I do with my holidays, right? I go clean the trash out of the local streets.
Not.
I thought, yeah, you know what? That's not the perspective. The perspective is let's make our community better, right? And that's a big part of what my understanding anyway of the MLK holiday is about. Part of that is how do we come together to make the world better, our community better. And they hauled out 18 bags of trash, huge industrial size bags of trash from the local park and the surrounding streets, and had a great experience from it as well. And it was a time you can look at how they're bundled up in the photos. It was a part of the country where it's cold. They weren't, wasn't sunny Southern California. So saying it was in Kansas City, Missouri. But again, it was just a great example of how the community came together instead of doing stuff on their own and being separated on a holiday that really is about the spirit of coming together.
Yeah, teamwork. We can get so much further when we collaborate and just, what they say, teamwork makes the dream work faster for sure. Faster rather than slower. I love that story. Again, another community story. Awesome. Makes me want to go out and rally my community together and say, hey.
Well, and it does, in a way. I read these, looking at these stories when we're talking about them during the pre-show and looking at them, to see, hey, what do I want to, what can we bring to the next episode? It at times I kind of, I'm like going, oh, I need to do more. I'm not nearly doing enough. Look at what these folks are doing. And it's inspirational. It is a little, it's not a little, but a lot humbling, because it's like, yeah, where's my focus?
Yeah.
And how can I do more, as opposed to getting caught up in the doing of the tasks of the day, as opposed to lifting my head up from my desk, from my computer screen, and looking around and going, okay, what can I do to reach out to my neighbors? What can I do to contribute to the community?
To bring a smile on someone's face, like Mr. Smiley.
Yes, like Mr. Smiley.
Mr. and Mrs. Smiley. I love that. I mean, sometimes it's just, we can bring good news to people just by picking up the phone. Which is a great idea these days, right? Pick up the phone and just call and say, hey, how you doing? I was thinking about you. And I was remembering this time. And everybody loves to be remembered about a time that it was when you were young or silly, or you did something, a little crazy, to bring a little laughter, and because we have our memories, a lot of people talk about so much has been taken away from us today, but we still have our memories of things. I go back, sometimes I play old songs and it gets me to doing the Temptation Walk. Back in the day, and looking, like you said, looking for these good news stories. It gives you such a great feeling, and you're like, wow. Then you see the next story. Wow, next story. Wow. Yeah. So sometimes, if nothing else, in between the time that Jeff and I bring you good news you can use, go to these different resources that we gave you. goodnewsnetwork.org was mine. And what was your two, Jeff?
Oh, we had pointsoflight.org, justserve.org.
Or just Google good news in 2021. It's like, it's what I'm find that's interesting, since Jeff and I started doing this, and it's only been a few months now, that there is a lot of good news out there. Yeah, it doesn't matter when it happened. There's a lot of good news today. There's a lot of good news yesterday. And guess what? There's going to be a lot of good news tomorrow. I think we just have gotten used to just looking at news. But we can decide what we want to take in, right, Jeff?
Yes, and it's hugely important. Making that discernment
Yeah.
has a huge impact on how we view the world, and I know it certainly affects my attitude and how I approach other people. If I'm allowing myself to be bombarded with negative messages and there's problems, and it's like, yeah, the world is far from perfect, a hugely imperfect place. But do I want to soak all that in, or do I want to soak in some good news to wash out the crud and to frame, how I look at things from a positive contributory perspective?
Yeah, and speaking of good news, we'll have more about this next week. But in the process of being on goodnewsnetwork.org, I discovered that they're going to be bringing a good news book. And it's so funny because I was like, I was going to do that. Me and Jeff was going to do that, but she beat us to it. So she's going to bring a good news book. We reached out to her. Oh my goodness, I forgot her name. Let me see if I can get it. But we reached out to to see if we could have an interview. Haven't had my coffee yet, so the name kind of. Yeah, that's the problem when you get older like me. But anyway, we'll have the story next week. I just wanted to bring it up to let you know.
Jerry Weiss Corbley. I was looking for it in the article that they posted about her book. Jerry Weiss Corbley.
Okay, so we're reaching out to her. So wish us good luck, and maybe we can bring her on to tell us, so that we can have an interview with her. Wouldn't that be great, Jeff? To find out what made her create the goodnewsnetwork.org, because I love it, and what we can expect in the book. I know I'll be getting a good copy. Isn't that great? So
yes,
to her and
here's the title. And now the good news. 20 years of inspiring news stories.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Great idea. Okay.
Reminds me of Monty Python, right? And now for something completely different.
There you go. There you go. Well, that's all I got, Jeff. What about you?
We've got one more.
Okay, we got one.
We talked a lot about how we've seen some amazing teenagers, so amazing community effort that are being done. Here's something that's a little bit on the other side of that. We had during the shutdown, we had a gentleman that completed his PhD.
Really?
At age 104.
No way. 104? Really?
104 years old. So he's an engineer.
Oh, wow.
His name is, I want to get this right. His name is Lucio Chiquito. So he's a Latin American gentleman, and he completed it at the University of Manchester in the United Kingdom. So instead of just being home during the pandemic.
Oh, he did this during the pandemic?
Yeah, this was during the pandemic that he finished, and he'd started it before that because he was in his 70s. So in the story, it talks about how when he completed his, I'm scrolling down to look for this. So he goes, yeah, I wrote the university and said I was 73 years old and had graduated with a master's degree in science and technology. I asked them if I could apply for a doctorate, and they said, sure. So during the shutdown, during the pandemic, he used that time being home to finish a very technical analysis. His dissertation for his doctorate was a study in how to calculate the maximum flow of rivers. So what's the maximum water flow in a river, which from an engineering standpoint can have great implications on, on flood control and other things. But I thought, he's not 104 years old, and he's doing this incredibly complex mathematical and science-based study.
A very active.
Yeah. Instead of watching, don't want to make fun of any brands, but instead of sitting back and going, oh, okay, what's on the telly, and clicking through that, or going, oh, I'll catch up on reruns. I thought, my gosh, it's another one as I look at it, I'm going, oh man, what am I doing with my time?
Yeah, really. When you said TV, I'm like, okay. But no, I mean, there you go. There's another example, fine example, astonishing example, Jeff, of making finding solutions instead of walloping in our problems and issues. Not that sometimes walloping is good, I get it, but just to be able to get past that and say, what can I do with my time? I love that. So let me just get clarification, because I'm still in shock, and this story is so great. So did you tell me he started at 73, or he just started inquiring about going back to school at 73? Because he's 104 now. So,
yes, he's 104 now. And he said when he was 73, he had asked if he could apply for his doctorate.
Oh,
so he got his undergraduate degree, his Bachelor of Science degree, from School of Mining and Engineering in 1941.
Wow.
That's incredible. Before, during World War II was when he graduated from college.
And just to go
so
back,
it appears that he's been working on it for quite some time. He needed to finish the dissertation, which
and this is the time to get it finished.
Yep.
You know what? I love that story. This was important to this man. This is important to him. And I think what I love about it, and it's very inspiring and very personal for me, because I'll be reaching 70 this year in April. And, you start to think about, I guess the past couple of years I've been thinking about, wow, on one hand, you feel blessed to be reaching 70, but then the other, you're kind of like facing some truths and some realities, right? What comes after 70, 80 and 90 and stuff. And you think about, I love broadcasting. Am I still going to do broadcasting? Should I get out of broadcasting? And this story is very inspiring to me, because this was important to him. He wasn't just going to school just to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is something that probably been on his heart for a long time, and to see him go for it and not put age in the way, that's good news I can use.
Well, it's the persistence.
Yeah.
He worked on this for 30 years. It's something that makes a major contribution, because he was working on a methodology for calculating the flow of a river. So this is a mathematical framework. It wasn't just solving a problem. He's creating a way to solve problems in the future.
And look at how he worked his brain, his mind,
mm-hmm.
his studying. That, like you said, that's some tough study in there. That's some mathematical figuring out and a lot of stuff. So wow, that's amazing.
And not letting go of not letting go of it until he found the solution he was looking for. Found the method, was able to devise the methodology that he was looking for. And come up with what you're saying about this is keeping his mind fresh, keeping his mind sharp. So this is a doctoral dissertation, which means he also had to go through oral defense with that. So he had to go before the board. I'm not completely familiar with how all that works, but he had to go before some group of knowledgeable professors and defend his dissertation against their questioning, which is always rigorous.
Yes.
But I'm sure that just because he's 104, they didn't give him a free pass.
Oh my goodness, what a great story that is. I mean, we had some really good stories this time. Definitely. I don't know how to choose which one, but that one may have moved up to the top for me. But then I was really touched by the adoption story too. Yeah, all of them. They were just all good news we can use. Thank you, Jeff, for your stories.
I just on the adoption story, I agree with you on that. I think that was the most impactful, because the research shows that the average person influences about 10,000 people throughout their lifetime. So here's a gentleman that he'll have his influence of his 10,000 people throughout his life, but now because he's helping these two teen boys, he's affected another 20,000 people
Yeah. And
because of who he's helping them become.
right, I was going to say most people are a product of their product, not all the time, but I get
Yeah.
this feeling. I don't know. I just feel like that's what he's done for them. They're going to be inspired to also do for someone else. You
Yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
that's just amazing. Well, I think that's a wrap, right, Jeff?
Yes, it is.
We hope you enjoy these good news you can use stories, and hopefully we got our fingers crossed that we will be able to bring a great interview to you within the next week or two. We're working on it. And if you have good news that you can use, oh, I love that. Wow. Share at goodnewsyoucanuse.com. I love that. Thank you, Jeff. So share at goodnewsyoucanuse.com. Yeah, share it right there. We'd love to share your good news story. And if it's okay for us to give you a shout out, be sure to put your name and the city and state you live in. We would definitely give you a shout out.
Absolutely. You know, because there are moments, days, weeks where it may not seem like it because there's so much uncertainty and bad news that's being spread around, or disturbing news that's being spread around. There's always more good news than there is bad news.
All we got to do is look for it. You know,
Yes.
you look for the bad, you'll find the bad. You look for the good, you'll find the good. And I can tell you, and Jeff can tell you, since we've been doing this, there's a lot of good news going on out there that will put a smile on your face and warm your heart and give you a better start for your day. So we hope you enjoy this good news you can use report. We'll be back next week for another amazing good news story that you can use. That's a wrap.
Thanks for joining us for Good News You Can Use.
Bye.